North Charleston resident and teacher Jesse Williams is eyeing the mayor's office of North Charleston. He tells me why he's running for mayor and the issues he'll tackle for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Jesse Williams, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
How's it going today, Quintin?
Doing great here. I know you're back here on Quintin's Close-Ups this time as a North Charleston mayoral candidate. In the past, I've interviewed you when you ran for North Charleston City Council's District 6 seat, and of course for Charleston County Council. So, with all of that experience and being a North Charleston resident and a teacher, why mayoral candidate? Why now?
Yes, sir, Quintin. In North Charleston, I know a lot of people are running, but in North Charleston, the housing. One reason why I'm running is because the housing is so expensive. People cannot no longer afford to live in North Charleston. Because it's becoming like downtown Charleston was. So one of the biggest reasons I decided to run was because of the housing prices.
Wow. So what's the average price for a home in North Charleston right now?
You look at upwards of $250,000 to $300,000 for a house.
For a house.
If you're looking to move to buy, if you're looking to buy a house in Park Circle area, even just Park Circle, you're looking at $500,000 upwards. Rent is you're looking at $1,800 a month just to rent in one of the cheapest areas in North Charleston. Wow. You're getting at $1,700 to $1,800 a month.
Wow. So let me ask you this then, Jesse. How many people are actually renting in North Charleston versus being homeowners?
Well, it just depends on where you're looking at North Charleston. I just know that the poverty rate is 20%. So that gives you an idea as to who can afford to rent or buy a house in North Charleston. You take an area like Dorchester, Wayland. That area, those are generational people who owns houses for years and years on end, and there's a lot of houses in disrepair. So it's the idea, like a neighborhood like Dorchester, Wayland, obviously a lot of people own their homes, right? But people think a lot of people rent, but really over half the houses in that Wayland area are homeowners. Also in Park Circle, the majority of people in Park Circle are homeowners. Mm-hmm. But the point is that when their kids are coming up and their kids are going to school, they can't afford to buy a house. It's just so expensive.
So expensive. So how many homes are actually in need of repair right now in the city of North Charleston, Jesse?
If you look at the southern North Charleston, there are many, many houses in disrepair. I was on the Lampsey board, Low Country Alliance for Model Communities, and those encompass 7 communities: Union Heights, Sequoia, Cherokee, the area of near Park Circle, Liberty Hill. Those areas, anything on the southern end, the majority of those houses are in disrepair, and they need to get those grants and need to outfit their homes.
How many? On that end. So how many grants do they need right now currently?
Currently, if you're looking at the Lampsey communities, because I was on the board of Lampsey, if you're looking at those areas, just on the Lampsey board, when I was on that board, I would say the majority, over half. So take for example, Dorchester, Wayland. They've got 1,300 houses, and over half of those houses need repairs. Sequoia, Cherokee, for example, Sequoia, Cherokee. They've got over 800, 900 houses over there on that side, and probably it looks like about over half of those need repairs. Also, sidewalks, windows around it.
And I'm going to get to that in just a second, but I know you mentioned Dorchester, Wayland, and Sequoia, Cherokee, which you all know. But let me talk to you about the rest of the city. Say, for instance, Forest Hill. What homes there need to be repaired right now?
Forest Hills, I have not done an inventory of all the houses in Forest Hills, but I would say you looking at those houses, the ones that are older, those senior citizens that owns houses for years and years, definitely need help with the roofs so they can get those HUD grants. Right. Most of those houses, on the roof repairs are needed. Wow. Because of the shingles and disrepair over, those things only last 20 to 30 years. So
now, how many senior citizens are there right now in the city of North Charleston, Jesse?
In North Charleston, you're looking at, I don't know exact demographics of senior citizens, but I do know that there are a lot of young people coming up and graduating high school in North Charleston. So it looks like about half. People are definitely getting older, and those are the ones that own homes, and they can certainly need those amenities, but also we need to think about the youth. We shouldn't just be building for community centers for seniors. We also need to have youth programs. So those are some of the things that I bring to the table as I'm running for mayor, is to advocate for not just senior activities, but youth activities, after school programs, summer programs, because that's going to help as well.
But then going back to obviously the senior citizens, Jesse, how many senior centers do they have in the city of North Charleston right now?
Senior centers, every neighborhood in North Charleston has a community center. As far as senior centers, there's about at least 5 or 6 just in the communities on Dorchester Road. For example, Green Road, that's a neighborhood near Dorchester Road and Leeds Avenue. They have a senior center there, but we need more activities to go on. There's a community center at Dorchester Wayland. They have senior activities there. But those centers need to be open more for seniors. Even though it's designated as a senior center, they don't have enough usage. They need to use more. They need more activities.
What resources can they use right now?
What can they use right now in North Charleston for the seniors?
Yes, sir.
So Parks and Recreation is over those community centers, and what they can use is the staff at Parks and Recreation to be able to open up the centers and let those centers be open all day for the kids and the seniors. Have a staff member that's staffing those centers, and they need to have manpower at those centers so that it can be used. They need internet at those community centers. That is needed. Wi-Fi internet at all the community centers is needed. Because seniors can use it, adults, children, everybody can use the internet right now. That's a need.
So how many staff members do they need for each of these centers?
You have to at least one staff member staffing each community center. So you can imagine there is 50 plus neighborhoods in North Charleston. Every neighborhood has a center nearby where they're at. Take for example, when you're looking at Wonder Woods, for example, there is a community center there. They should have at least one staff member staffing that center. They need that.
Speaking of obviously neighborhoods, in what way actually has the district map change evolved because of redistricting?
So one of the biggest areas of change for redistricting is City Council District 7. That was a district that was encompassing from the southern North Charleston and went all the way up Rivers Avenue up to Otranto Road. And that area was redistricted and cut out. District 7 is now currently at the top of North Charleston now. So that was a big change. And when that change happened, they combined those communities with District 8 at this time.
So how many residents altogether are in District 7?
In District 7, that's a good question. They cut every district. There's 10 districts in North Charleston.
Sure.
And currently, they put 10,000 to 11,000, there's a give or take for each district right now. Actually, between 9 and 11,000 residents live in each district. District 7, the new District 7, has one of the least amount of residents because that's a new district.
So how many residents did they lose?
So District 7, District 8 has about 11,000 residents in that district. And so now the new District 7 was put up. It was put up towards the northern end of North Charleston. They probably lost about 1,000 to 2,000 residents in that district. When it comes to redistricting now, and this is what I've been fighting for with the various different nonprofits, is that those districts should be fair. And before you had Sam Hart in that area, District 7, and that was cut off, and now there is that minority district was totally taken and put into the top, which I'm not for. I'm against that.
Now, how many minorities actually live in District 7 currently?
The new District 7 is about 20% minorities now. It's way less. When it was District 7 in the southern end, it was about 60 to 70% minorities in that district.
So where do you see the pace of growth for District 7?
Growth is going to depend on the development up there in the northern part. I would like to see North Charleston invest in the southern end of North Charleston because that area is the area where there's a lot of residents. And I would like to see a lot of the growth happen in ways that benefits residents. Parks, green space, grocery store, things that's going to help the residents. That needs to be, we need to invest in current residents rather than all the development.
Where exactly is overdevelopment happening in District 10?
District 10, when you're looking at the part where the old Navy base is, there is a lot of plans. We need to be looking at that future land use map. And there is a lot of plans that they've got in place for that District 10 near the Port Authority. Because they also want to put that bus rapid transit, they call it Low Country Rapid Transit, down Rivers Avenue. And they've got a lot of plans for that area. But those plans need to be inclusive of the residents that are there now. Otherwise, that's going to be overdevelopment going on. There's going to be too much overdevelopment.
What plans are those residents in favor of right now?
Those residents want to stay where they're at, essentially. They want to live where they're at. They want to work near in North Charleston. They don't want to lose their homes. And I know that because I've spoken to a lot of residents in North Charleston. They don't want to be negatively impacted by our plans in place.
Now, how many people on the south end of North Charleston have actually been displaced because of overdevelopment and obviously growth and gentrification?
Oh, absolutely. There is one example of growth by the Port Authority. There was about 200 apartments off of School Avenue.
Yes, sir.
And those rents were, $700, $800, $900 a month affordable. That whole apartment off School Avenue near the old Navy base, that complex was basically gentrified, and they got rid of that whole complex. So that's 200 plus homes just right there.
Well, where did those people go?
That's a good question. North Charleston don't have a plan. They don't know where they went. A lot of people know that there are a lot of homeless people in North Charleston, and we need to have a solution for homelessness. A lot of people end up being displaced. They become homeless. They become just living in random areas, behind shopping centers, all those kind of things. We need a North Charleston that's inclusive of residents, cares about people. I want to have an ombudsman's office that's active, that has a homeless liaison, help people with jobs, help people with education. We need to have liaisons for that to make sure that we know that people are being taken care of.
And as a disclaimer, the city of North Charleston currently has a homeless liaison taking care of some of those issues. But let me ask you, if you were to create an ombudsman office, how much money would that be in the budget for that?
The ombudsman's office already exists right now. And that individual is on leave right now.
Right.
That person's salary is about $70,000 around there, give or take.
No, I actually looked at it yesterday. It was $152,000.
They're on leave. My point is that person's on leave. So in other words, it's an act. I want to make sure that position is active and make sure that they're serving the residents.
How are they serving the residents now, sir?
They do absolutely nothing. That person in that position is inactive right now. They're on leave.
On leave. So let me ask you, where exactly do the ombudsman need to be helping people in North Charleston? Where exactly?
That person's job is to be a liaison between the residents and city council and the North Charleston government. That person should be out in the community, connecting residents with resources, answering questions, having community meetings, making sure that they're answering complaints from the citizens. They should be out in the community where the homeless people are to make sure that they have a good palm and a good read on what the needs are in the community. They're not there.
How many people in North Charleston are currently homeless?
That's a good question. And we don't know that number because people become homeless every day. North Charleston, between the year 2018 and 2020, had the number one eviction rate in the whole country, actually. So that is an area that's being disserviced, and I believe that we need to have a better grip on and grasp on the homelessness in North Charleston. As you go around North Charleston, you see homeless people living behind shopping centers, behind stores, everywhere, woods and everything.
Yes, sir. So where exactly do you believe these people are coming from?
Those individuals being homeless because of the rise in rental prices. People can't afford to pay their rent. They can't afford to pay their electricity. A lot of them live in North Charleston. Some of them coming from downtown Charleston. They're transient. They go back and forth, and that's pretty much what's going on.
So how many people are actually transient that are coming into North Charleston?
Like I said, I don't know the exact number. That is a job that North Charleston should be doing, and that's not being done. As mayor, I want to bring solutions to that area, and we need to have a good idea of what the needs are.
Now, what is the exact price for rent right now in the city of North Charleston?
Like I said, it depends on where you're at. If you're trying to rent right now in an area like Dorchester, Wayland, $1,600 a month. If you're looking to rent at the lowest apartment complex in North Charleston, $1,700 a month. If you're looking to get a decent apartment, let's say on the upper part of Dorchester Road, you're looking at $2,400 to $3,400 a month. So it depends on where you're at, where you're trying to rent at.
And when exactly did those prices for rent increase in the city of North Charleston?
That's been an ongoing increase, and that's been, I would say, in the last few years, that has been going up as the housing units have decreased. For example, when Boeing came into North Charleston,
Yes, sir.
the trailer park called Trailwood was basically, they did eminent domain on that area. And so they lost all those affordable rents. And so because of that, less housing stock was there. So that therefore the prices went up and people started charging more.
So let me ask you this. What is the current housing stock in North Charleston?
That is a good question. We need to look that stats up. We need to look up those stats because that's always changing. You do have some buildings going on at Palmetto Commerce Parkway. There are new apartments and new houses going up off of Rashid Phosphate.
Right.
They're building 200 houses up there. So it's changing every day.
Wow.
I just know that people can't afford to live in North Charleston anymore. They need better jobs, better education, and those are the big needs.
How many jobs are there currently in the city of North Charleston?
How many jobs are there in North Charleston? There are not enough jobs.
How many jobs do you need to keep up with the pace of growth over the next 5 to 10 years?
So look at it like this. There is a 20% poverty rate in North Charleston. I would like to see those individuals gain jobs. So that tells me that over 20,000 to 25,000 residents in North Charleston are at or below the poverty rate. So we need to make sure that we have jobs for those individuals. So we need to have at least 20,000 to 25,000 good jobs.
And what's the biggest employer right now in the city of North Charleston in your mind?
Charleston County School District is one of the biggest.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you this. You talked earlier about those apartments coming up along Ashley Phosphate and other locations, Palmetto Commerce. So in the past 2 years, how many high density apartments have been built in the city of North Charleston?
High density apartments, like I said, I don't know the exact numbers. I need to get those numbers for everybody. I know that those new builds are too expensive. Essentially, those are too expensive.
Wow.
If you go to Tanger Outlet, you got a whole new apartment complex going up.
Yeah.
Those are too expensive. You're looking at upwards of $2,200 to $3,400 a month.
So where exactly is the land for affordable housing and workforce housing in North Charleston?
The only thing they have right now in North Charleston is Horizon Village, and that decreased. So they need more. Like I said, they need a good plan, and I'm advocating for a good plan because I'm not on the city of North Charleston's council or mayorship or any positions there. But like I said, it's very much lacking, and you can tell with the eviction rates being so high.
So how much has that fluctuated over the past 2-3 years?
As far as what?
As you just mentioned, the eviction rate.
That has gone up since 2018. It was the number one eviction rate in the country. North Charleston has been the number one eviction rate in the country. 2018, 2019, 2020. So that means that was before the pandemic.
Now, where's the highest eviction rate in the city of North Charleston? Which areas?
Most likely on the southern end. Okay. So I'm talking about from Remount Road south.
Right. Yes, sir. And I want to get back to that in just a second. But you mentioned Horizon Village, and obviously, you know, what happened there and how that decreased. How much did that decrease by in your mind?
So they had about 140 or so affordable housing units, and they sold about 64. So that got rid of about 64 units, and so they don't have enough.
Well, let me ask you this then, Jesse. What's more important for you, for obviously the city of North Charleston? Is it building new homes, as I'm looking around here, in commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, and better utilizing those existing homes?
I would say rehabbing, expanding, and better utilizing existing homes.
Which home? And what area can that happen in?
Well, for example, 526. When you look at the area of 526 impact, Highland Terrace is an area that's being impacted by 526. And I have advocated over the years for minimal impact on the homes in that community. Also, they should keep that community whole. And it costs more to buy a new home than for somebody to be able to hold on to their house and be able to save it, rather than allowing that impact to be such that they have to literally move. So renovate, keep those communities whole, for example. This impacted by 526.
And how many of those people in that area of 526 are trying their best to hold on to their homes right now?
Well, right now, I actually looked at the map today. The updated map shows about 64 homes that's in the line of the widening of 526, including the community center, both community centers. and Russell-Dale and Highland Terrace. And I want to advocate for communities to hold on to their homes and not have to lose their homes. But also, if they do, something happens, I like to help them get something that is replaceable, replaces what they have.
Now, let me ask you this. When it comes to obviously the South Carolina Department of Transportation, what incentives are they giving these people to actually try to hold on to their homes?
Well, the DOT actually is giving information to the residents who's being impacted. But what they're doing is, what they did was they offered community meetings, and that allowed the community to bring plans forward that was going to kind of give plans for the widening of 526 or the route of 526. So that's what they did, but they also have dollars to help them be able to rent a home or be able to buy a home nearby where they're at.
Now, did they ever give the residents there a timeline of when all of this may occur?
Yes, sir. They've given them between 2023 and 2027, around that time frame. But the problem is that the residents don't know. They're not really informing the residents too well, which I have tried to do that. What I've tried to do is inform the residents the best I could myself.
Now, how many people will have enough money to rent a home versus getting their own home?
Well, what they're going to do, the DOT, they are going to, if somebody rents currently, they're going to give them dollars to pay their first month, and also the dollars to replace where they're at, to try to help them rent some other spot, even if they rent homes. If they own homes, they're going to try to help them to be able to buy a different house if they're in the impact area.
And I don't know if you may notice, but where exactly can these people go with that type of money that the DOT is giving them?
Well, they're trying. I spoke to them today at the office. They're trying to help them to be able to get a house near where they live. If not, they wanted to help them get a house near outside of their neighborhood, but still in North Charleston area. So that's what they're trying to do.
And going back into generalities, when you think about the apartments, how would you, as mayor, actually flood the market so that with more housing, so that the rent prices can actually drop?
Well, one thing I would do as mayor is look at the land use map. The future land use map is such that it composes of the comprehensive plan. And the problem with that, Quintin, is that when you look at that land use map, the majority of that land use map everywhere south of Remount Road is commercial or industrial.
Right.
So you have to make sure that there's residential zoning in the land use map for the future land use, so that there will be areas that people can still build residential houses on. That's the first obstacle to get over as mayor. So I'm going to inform the residents what the future land use map looks like now, and what can be adjusted or amended on that map.
What can be amended right now?
Well, the city council and the mayor would come together, get input from the community, and make sure that there are more residential zonings for the future land use map on that comprehensive plan. Those need to be changed.
And where exactly should that be changed in your mind?
In my mind, off of Rivers Avenue, when you're looking at Shakur Cherokee, Union Heights, everywhere south. I did a lot of work in Union Heights over the years. That area, Russell-Dale, Highland Terrace, those areas, those need to be residential zoning. And that's my opinion, and that's what I would push for.
Now, how inviting is Red Rivers Avenue from a business perspective?
Well, from a business perspective, if it's zoned business,
right,
they're going to try to make a profit in those areas. And if they can try to make a profit, if they can realize a profit, they're going to try to open up a business. And rather than a business, I want to advocate for residents to be able to build a house.
Let me ask you this then, Jesse. If North Charleston is such an industrial workforce city, as many people, proclaim it as, why is the city changing that and the character of the city in your mind?
Well, you have the Port Authority expansion. You have the bus rapid transit expansion. $200 million put towards rapid transit. Port Authority is expanding. And so, in my mind, I don't believe that they had good leaders in place that allows for a plan that includes the residents. You need to have a plan that includes the residents and the future of the residents. And I do believe that residents can work together with businesses in order for both to coincide in North Charleston. You don't need people having to take a bus to North Charleston from other cities. They should be able to live where they work at.
In what way has the city of North Charleston in your mind, as far as the comprehensive plan? Do you believe that it was vetted well?
I don't think so. I don't think it was transparent enough. I don't think they had good meetings over the years. I don't think they showed the residents what the current zoning was when they went out there and took input for zoning. In the past, what they did was they put together what they planned to put out, and then they gave three options that were very similar, and then they had residents come and look at that. I am a firm believer that you should be very transparent and let the residents see what the zoning is currently, and then get their input on what they would like to see as far as future land use.
And what are the residents voicing their opinions on right now when it comes to that future land use map?
They don't know a whole lot about it right now, Quintin, and again, that goes back to the lack of transparency. That goes back to the lack of people on basically they've been rubber stamps for developers, and again, that goes back to the lack of a good ombudsman that's been able to get the residents information or even take input from residents that's been negative.
When it comes to those developers, how many of those developers have actually built affordable units in the city of North Charleston?
None that I know, Quintin. And like I said at one of my forums, developers don't see that as their job. And you just have to know about business and basics of business because developers and businesses are seeking to make a profit. And unless they see a reason to their bottom line of giving affordable housing, putting it in place, they're likely to not really have real affordable housing in place.
If they do bring affordable housing, hypothetically, to the city of North Charleston, what incentive do you want them to bring to the city?
The incentive that the city can give them is tax breaks. So if they build a certain number of affordable units, the city can give them some tax breaks to offer those affordable units. Or the city can partner with the developer and offer a subsidized amount of money. So those are just ways that you could partner with developers. But my solution for affordable housing is that North Charleston puts money directly into the Housing Trust Fund for affordable housing, whether it's from the county or whether it's from the city, and build units and allow that to be rented out at a decent price.
Well, then let me ask you this: what public-private partnership instead would you have for this housing trust?
A nonprofit. You partner with a nonprofit that has a housing trust. Basically, like we did before, we were able to partner with a nonprofit. I was on the LAMC board. The nonprofit set up an organization that was a land trust. But the housing trust would be a fund that City of North Charleston has in place, and the private-public partnership will come in place whenever they need to outsource the building of these buildings, these
Right.
apartment units.
Now, let me ask you this: would you put something like a housing trust on a referendum?
If needed, if that's needed, then you would do a referendum. I would opt to want to look at the budget and see if the money is there in the budget to contribute to Charleston County's housing trust fund. See if North Charleston is able to contribute to the trust fund. They seem to have money for everything else, right?
Now, I know the city of North Charleston currently has a budget over $100 million. Have you ever managed a budget of that size, Mr. Jesse?
I was on the LAMC board. We had multiple millions of dollars. So you just add a couple of zeros to that. And so we managed $3.2 million. Add a couple of zeros to that. My background is in business administration. So I've also done bookkeeping as well as taxes. So that's not a big deal.
Now, in the city's recent budget, what surplus was there?
It was $137 million coming in, and they spent most of that money. So what I've seen, there hasn't been much of a surplus, but they did have different funds in place on the balance sheet.
Okay, well, will you as a mayor put a line item in the budget for capital projects for the city?
Yes.
Where exactly?
The capital projects will be put in place, and that will be budgeted to upfit things like community centers, upfit the needs for centers, and allow the centers to be upfitted as needed. That's what we need capital dollars for.
What is the city's fund balance currently?
Well, the fund balance, you have about $137 million in revenue, and then you have close to $137 million in expenses,
Right.
but they have not been transparent on their total asset dollar funds. That's what we need transparency on.
Now, let me ask you this, Dan. What is the city's rating? City's rating with Best and Moody?
I haven't looked at it. I haven't checked it. I hope it's good.
Now, how much reserve money does the city of North Charleston need to keep its rating up?
I haven't looked into that either.
What is the tax base for the city of North Charleston?
Tax base, they brought in about $137 million in revenue.
Now, what is the total amount the city actually received under the COVID relief funds?
COVID funds, that's not been transparent. That's a good question.
Now, how many of these neighborhoods are in North Charleston are currently benefiting from the wealth that the city has received?
There's about 50 neighborhoods in North Charleston.
Right.
And from what I'm seeing, it is all the neighborhoods north of, you look at Montague Avenue North, they are the ones that mainly benefit.
Wow. Now, you talk a lot about minorities in this particular interview, Jesse. So how would you help the city establish a minority and women's affairs office?
Well, I want to see the city have a minority business enterprise office to allow for small businesses who are women and minorities to be able to gain contracts. That's the office that we would need to allow for those individuals to gain contracts from the city or from other parts in North Charleston, other entities in North Charleston, like the county. That minority affairs office would likely be in City Hall. That would need to be in City Hall as well.
Yes, sir. And let me talk to you about that because I want to know this. How many minority businesses do you currently have in the city?
In the city of North Charleston, it's really hard to tell because that's why you would need an MBE office, Minority Business Enterprise Office.
Yes, sir.
Because that would allow those businesses to then be able to register and gain contracts. The city of Charleston has about 200 plus businesses, but they have a program there. City of Charleston.
Yeah. So how many city contracts were awarded last year in the city of North Charleston?
City contracts, they haven't been transparent on that either.
Now, let me ask you this, Dan. How would you actually invest in workforce in your budget if you do become mayor, I should say?
Workforce development, what I would like to see is programs at the community centers to help people gain jobs. And also at the ombudsman's office, which is an important office, I would want to see a jobs liaison be able to gain and connect people with jobs. At Boeing, Port Authority, and all the major job companies, all the jobs that are in North Charleston.
Now, this is a redundant question, Mr. Jesse, but how do you actually elevate equity in the city of North Charleston?
Yeah, that is redundant. The equity is certainly needed. You have to have a good leader in North Charleston that actually cares about equity. I believe that the hiring at the city should reflect the individuals who live in North Charleston. In other words, those major positions at City Hall should also reflect the demographics in North Charleston.
So when you look at the demographics, what is the top demographic in the city of North Charleston?
Well, currently, actually, it's not. It's actually, you're looking at about 49% white, 48% African American, and about 3% or so, 2 to 3% other, basically.
Now,
it's changed.
It has changed. Where do you see that demographic heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's hard to tell, sir. If I'm mayor, that demographic is the city will serve the people who live in North Charleston. I'm not a mayor that's going to aim to bring other demographics in North Charleston necessarily. I don't want to operate as mayor that way. You know what I mean? So that's hard to tell.
Hard to tell. Let me turn to some politics. I'm sure you've seen the flyers out here. Apparently, Republican candidate Todd Oles has actually sent out a flyer saying Republicans are voting for the only conservative in the race for mayor of North Charleston, meaning himself. And in that particular flyer, he mentions that Democrats have plenty of liberals to choose from the race in North Charleston for mayor, and that included you. When you look at, obviously politics and, the race for mayor, what do you say to Todd Oles?
Well, I would say to Todd Oles that I am proud of my work I've done in North Charleston, and if he wants to label me a liberal or Democrat, that's up to him. And I'm just here to do my job and help people in North Charleston and the city, and And just at the end of the day, I look at the good Lord at the end of the day, and just want to make sure I'm doing my best. People.
As a disclaimer, I did invite Todd Oles on for Quintin's close-ups, but when he initially announced back this summer, they told me that they were not doing any media interviews, and I just called him a couple of days ago, at least 3 times. He never responded. So I hope to get him on Quintin's close-ups to respond. But Jesse, let me go back. Obviously, you've been in politics for a while now. Obviously, you sat on plenty of nonprofits and obviously commissions. And of course, you ran for Charleston County Council in 2020. And when I, go back to that, it says that you ran against obviously Rob Wehrman, the current county councilman, and he won 766 votes to your 427. And of course, in 2019, you ran against current North Charleston City Councilwoman Dorothy Williams. She brought in 443 votes to your 272 votes in 2019. How electable are you, sir?
I believe I'm electable. I'm working on getting votes from all the demographics in North Charleston. It's a bigger area. And so I believe I'm electable.
How so?
Well, I'm going out there and working hard, getting the information out there, working on getting every vote. Every vote's going to count. And on election day, I'm going to be asking people for their votes. And that's why I'm here right now, to get the word out and ask people to vote for Jesse Williams for mayor in North Charleston, November 7th.
Now, Jesse, to be fair, you didn't win Charleston County Council, and you couldn't even win City Council. So how could you become mayor and win that?
Because it's a bigger area in North Charleston, and so everybody in the whole city can vote for me, and so they'll know my name, and it's a plurality. So there's 10 people running, so if I get one more than the next vote getter, then I'm the winner, because there's 10 people running. So you don't know how that's going to be split.
Now, so what do you do to make certain that you don't lose again?
Well, what do? You go out there to the whole city of North Charleston, and what I'm doing is asking for their votes throughout all North Charleston. We run a good campaign, and that's what I'm doing.
Jesse Williams, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Likewise.